Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. On to some semi-positive news?
Is it?
I mean, it's not negative news. This is stuff that we've known all along, but now we have science to back it up. Cis boys get gender-affirming surgeries more often than trans minors. So, like, new study came out in June.
Okay.
That they looked at all the gender-affirming surgeries in all the age groups, and they used anonymized health insurance data. So, like, their sample size is like 3 million kids and so many million adults or whatever. And I forget the exact numbers, but out of the 3 million kids, there was something like 187 gender-affirming surgeries. And 97% of those were cis boys having breast reduction surgery. So, like...
I was completely unaware of that. Jesus.
Yeah, so the vast majority of gender-affirming surgeries, especially performed on minors, which is extremely rare to begin with, but of the ones that actually happen, it's not trans kids, it's cis kids that, like, it'll be boys that are... I forget what it's called. They mention it in here, but what's it called? I don't know. I forget what it's called. But there's a condition that boys can get where they will start to grow breasts. Yeah, there we go. Fennec's got it. Gynecomastia. Gynecomastia?
Okay.
So that's a condition where men or boys will grow breasts. And as a boy going through puberty, if you are growing actual boobs, you're gonna get made. You're gonna get made fun of.
That's a traumatizing experience.
It's traumatizing. So, like, they will get gender affirming care, have those things removed.
You just end up being the guy from Fight Club.
I never watched Fight Club.
There's one character in Fight Club who I believe has that condition, and there is a moment where the main character, like, describes in detail the feeling of pressing his face into his friend's massive boobs.
Okay.
As a form of comfort. Traumatizing comfort, but comfort nonetheless.
Risperidone/risperidol causes gynecomastia in young boys. I assume that's a medication of some kind.
Also, Ocean, thank you so much for gifting out 5 subs. I appreciate it.
Ocean, woo!
Ocean Keltoy. I've had multiple blue screens of death in the last couple days. I'm not happy, but hi.
So 30 to 50 annoyingly feral peccaries says, is circumcision also considered gender affirming care? Not for the purposes of this study. I wouldn't call that gender affirming. I would just straight up call that mutilation.
I mean, it is mutilation.
Is not necessary. Okay, so they found that gender-affirming surgeries are rarely performed for transgender minors, suggesting that the U.S. surgeons are appropriately following international guidelines and association around assessment and care. So yeah, we're not chopping kids' dicks off. Also, they split up into age group. I don't think they go into the specific numbers for age group, but it was something like 2 surgeries per 100,000 for the age group between 15 and 17, and 0.1 surgeries per 100,000 for the age group between 12 and 15, and there were just none under the age of 12. So there's 0 gender-affirming surgeries under the age of 12. In between 12 and 15, it's negligible. And then 15 to 17, that's where the vast majority of them are happening. And the vast majority of the ones that are happening on cis kids.
It's almost like when you start banning gender-affirming care, you hurt fewer trans people and you hurt more cis people, which you would actually, like... So I know that I was surprised at the specificity of what this is when it comes to the top surgery, but in reality, it makes sense considering that there's just 100 times more cis kids
Well,
than there are trans kids.
okay, so they looked at. So they were looking at data from 22.8 million minors who had health insurance, and only 85% received any gender affirming surgery. Or no, not 85%, 85. So it's 85 individuals out of 22.8 million sample size. So, like, the total number is completely negligible. And then when you look at how the number breaks down between trans kids and cis kids, by banning gender affirming surgeries, you're hurting cis kids more than you're hurting trans kids. Overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
So like it's all just fear mongering.
The cruelty is the point. At a certain point, you just have to accept that the cruelty is the point. I wish it weren't the case. It's way more compelling to argue as if the people you're dealing with are regular people and not Saturday morning cartoon villains. But sometimes they just look like Saturday morning cartoon villains, and not the fun ones.
Oh yeah, so Hitchmeister59 says, "Are you trying to convince me that teachers are chopping dicks off right and left?" So yeah, that's
no. We're trying to
thing...
convince you that they chop them up off and up and down. Right and left would be you might hit the legs.
But like that brings up the like they're talking about kids going to school and coming home after having surgery that was forced on them without their parents' knowledge. Like, no, these surgeries are so rare and so hard to get. Like, the idea that they would be giving them out at school where they can't even agree to give lunch to everybody is just like, no, that's not how it works at all. Anyone who says that is being disingenuous or is a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Ugh. Can we just not have the Republican Party in the United States?
That'd be nice.
That would be an improvement.